Here's some help with what you're working on 2.1, number 1. And so your problem may be different, but let's see if this helps you out with it. It says part 1, instructions say, given the functions, determine each of the following. It says, give your answers as simplified expressions written in descending order or just standard form for their polynomials. So we're going to go through this kind of a little bit at a time. I'm going to call this part A, just for keeping up with its sake. So first it wants to take g of x plus h of x. Okay, so I want to take g of x and I want to add h of x to it, and then I want to clean it up as much as possible. So g of x, I'm going to say, is 3x minus 2, and then I want to add that with h of x, which is 3x squared minus 11x plus 6. So when I'm adding, I'm just going to do a matter of combining like terms. And so let's see, here's a 3x squared, and then I have a 3x and a negative 11x. That's going to give me a positive 8x. And I've got a negative 2 and a positive 6, so that gives me a positive 4. So for part A, we're just looking at 3x squared plus 8x plus 4. Oh, excuse me, minus 8x, that negative 11. Now for part B, or what I'm calling part B, we want to do h of x minus g of x. And that's the one that normally causes kind of some issues because of that subtraction. Just little mistakes can happen. So we want to take h of x, and I want to subtract out g of x. So first I'm going to write h of x, which is 3x squared minus 11x plus 6. And I want to subtract out g of x, which is 3x minus 2. Now be careful with this because we are subtracting. The best thing you can do is to distribute that negative throughout your function so that when you go to combine this together, you're back to part A and you're just combining like terms. So I've got a 3x squared, I've got a negative 11x and a negative 3x, so I get negative 14x. I've got 6 and 2, which gives me an 8. So that would be my answer for part 2, 3x squared minus 14x plus 8. Not too bad, just be careful with that negative. Now for the next part, or what I'm going to call part C, just to keep us in order here, is f of x. So we're going to take f of x and we're going to multiply it times h of x. And so I'm going to do that now. So that would be f of x, so let's see, part C, f of x, which is 8x, times h of x, which is your 3x squared minus 11x plus 6. Now be careful with this one. All we want to do is multiply that out together. So I'm going to distribute it. So I'm going to take all of 8x and I'm going to multiply it times each of these terms. So that gives me a 24x cubed minus 88x squared plus 48x. And so then that would be your answer. Again, it's just going to be the details that are going to kind of catch you or cause little mistakes on this. Let's go into this next part. I'll call it part D. Find and simplify h of x over g of x. Hint, you will need to factor h of x. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to have, let's see, h of x, and we're going to put that on top. And then g of x is 3x minus 2. So I'm going to come over here. Let's say d is going to be h of x, 3x squared minus 11x plus 6, all over g of x, which is 3x minus 2. Okay. Now, so the key with this one is you're going to have to factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 3x squared minus 11x plus 6 over here to the side. I'm going to factor it. Since I have a 3 in front here, I'm going to multiply these two together, and that gives me 18x squared. I'm going to think about the factors of 18x squared, so that's a 1x and a 18x, a 2x and a 9x, a 3x and a 6x. And I want to think about what combination of those is going to give me an 11, and that's going to be the 2 and 9. And I want them both to be negative. When negatives multiply together, it gives you that positive 18 you want, but when you add them, it gives you the negative 11. So we're going to split this apart. So I get 3x squared minus 2x minus 9x plus 6. And then I can factor by grouping. So the front two have an x in common. That gives me a 3x minus 2. The back two have a negative 3 in common, which gives me a 3x minus 2. And I knew I want to take that negative out so that my groupings were the same here. And so I can pull that out front. So 3x minus 2 times x minus 3. So now coming up back to our problem, we have the top factored into 3x minus 2 times x minus 3 all over 3x minus 2, which is great because that means we can cancel these two pieces, and this is going to simplify to give us x minus 3. And that's what we are wanting, to find and simplify that function. So make sure that if you need assistance with factoring, you do reach out to me and let me help you with that. All of these answers have to be fully simplified down. They do not need to be left like as them unmultiplied. The computer can be kind of tricky in the fact that sometimes it accepts answers that are equivalent, but exam situations, every answer you give on exams need to be simplified down to lowest terms, so be aware of that. Now last part, E, is the domain restriction for g of x over f of x. So we need to first create that quotient of g of x over f of x and then look at the domain restriction of it. So let's kind of scroll up here and look at our g of x. G of x is going to be 3x minus 2. So I'm going to say this equal to 3x minus 2 all over f of x, which was 8x. Now with this one, there's nothing we can factor or simplify down, so we just need to look at the domain restriction. The problem with a quotient function or a fraction like this is division by 0. So to order to restrict your domain, you're going to set your denominator equal to 0 and solve. So I'm going to have 8x equal to 0. Solving that out, I get x equal to 0 divided by 8, which is 0. So this means you'll look at the answer box and it says x cannot equal, and it has a box. 0 will go there. So just make sure you're simplifying up things and you're remembering all the things that we have been doing thus far.